Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir Sponsor Nishma Sam Yaakov Leah Bas Yitzchok. We're holding in Shavuos Daf Mem Dalet. This is the daf that was given on Shabbos. We're going to go through it quickly. We're going to just go to the end of the parak in this recording and then start the next parak on the next year. So what we got to in the previous year, we got to Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis, 6 lines from the bottom. It's actually 8 lines from the bottom, sorry. The Gemara says Leme Ketanoi. So just to go back into the sugyo, the Shmuel said if someone gives a loan to somebody else and he puts a collateral which is not worth the loan, so the loan is $1,000. The collateral is something. He spoke about a handle of a sickle. That handle is almost worth nothing. But if he loses the handle, he loses his loan. Why is that so? So we mentioned Shabbos. Really, there's 2 explanations in the Rishonim. They're going to get to many different things that are going on in the sugya. One explanation is the Ramban. Ramban learns it's a din of a shomer. He becomes a shomer socher. Shomer means he's a guard. Someone has to guard something, get paid for it. And his payment is getting this item, getting his money back. Meaning, he's getting paid by the fact that if he gives the item back, he gets his money back. And if not, he loses it as a shomer. Taisus clearly learns the Navadin shomer. But according to Taisus, many of the Achorim learn about Taisus, it's a din of a condition, meaning I'm giving you, it's like an example of someone taking a jet ski and giving his passport as a deposit. It's not a fair value exchange. I'm giving you something, and in return, you're giving me my collateral. If you don't give it back, I don't give it back to you. It works that way. The big difference between the Taisus and the Ramban is, according to Taisus, it's part of how a collateral works. I give it to you, I give it back to you. According to the Ramban, it's another agreement of shomer, and all the hilchos shomer will be negiyah to it. Not going too much into the details, but there's a lot of community between Taisus and the Ramban in our sugya. Says the Gemara Leme Ketanoi. This idea of Shmuel depends on Machlokes Tanoim. Hamalvis chaver la mashkon v'ovad mashkon. Someone lended someone to his friend, and he has collateral. Yishavavi told Moisav divrei Abelazar. So if he got lost, he does a shvuah and he takes back his money. So one second, I gave you a collateral. Collateral is gone. I'm not giving you back the money. He gave him a star. Give him over the mashkon of the moisav. Then if you lost the mashkon, you lost the money. So what's the machlekes over here? The more right away comes to address. Hey, in the Shavuos shoes, if we talk about that the collateral is worth the loan. My time in the Ablazer. So why is the Ablazer arguing? The Blazer says, what is the Blazer saying? The Blazer says that if the collateral is lost, he still goes and gets, and he does the shul and takes the mors. Why should he take the mors? Elamai, tell me it's not worth the value of the loan. Or the shul, that's the machlekes. In other words, the collateral was worth $500. The loan is worth $1,000. Because it's now worth the value of the loan, that's the reason that according to, if you hold like Shmuel, Shmuel's concept is if you lose the collateral, you use the loan. And the other man says, no, I lose the collateral, I still owe you, I just lose the value of the collateral, but not more than that. So Shmuel is exactly this point. Now, argues is the way Rashi learns. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says clearly that if you hold, the Mandomer that holds against Shmuel says not like you would think, like we just said now, he takes only the value over the collateral. He takes the entire thing. Look at what Rashi says. With Shmuel Kaviflagin, Abelazar lay said the Shmuel the mashkor chain the shoy kolachoyv ain't odo mikabla is the current dvarim. So what is the current dvarim? So to remind us, as we'll see soon when we get to the end of the parak. Higal shemichinum hu alav yishovish lepashav shein b'shusoy v'yitoil kol meoisoy. Takes all his money. So Taisus points out, Taisus Bometzia asks Rashi, comes in something very interesting according to this gears according to Rashi's understanding. According to this, what is the Gemara telling us? If the loan is worth 1,000 and the collateral is 500, according to Abelazar, he does a shvuah. The lender is considered to be a shemechinum. He's only holding on to the collateral for a shemechinum. As a shemechinum, as according to Alma, he loses it. It's his responsibility. It's his responsibility if he was pushing out. If it's a shemechinum, he does a shvuah. I didn't do anything wrong, and he gets back all his money, right? What happens if the collateral is worth more? Same thing. If the collateral is worth the equal amount of the loan, Now, no. Now the collateral replaces the loan. So it says according to Rashi, because it's something very weird. If the collateral was worth $2, $10, $500, $700, $900, he gets back his full loan. It's worth $1,000, he doesn't get back the loan. When it comes to the value of the loan, then you don't get it back. According to Rashi, you have to say yes, because before that it's only zichron dvarim be'almo. It's not a collateral, just to remind us. And now it became a collateral once it has the right value. Today brings another gears over here. So he says, "My love b'duloi shavi pirush my love afilu b'duloi shavi." And he learns even with the shavi tokol moisov, even when it's worth the value, you tokol moisov. That's what Tosis learns over here in Ayin Sham and Tosis. So this is going to be an interesting machlokes between Rashi and Tosis. Says the Gemara, "Lo b'duloi shavi kulam leishol l'shvul." No, everybody agrees if the collateral is not worth, you're not able. You don't lose your whole loan. If we're talking, it is worth the same loan. So what's the machlokes? Over there, Yechezkel coming for the game. The Omar Yechezkel minayin le'balachayv shekoyim mashkrin. Balachayv is the owner of the mashkrin. Shema v'lechot yeh tzedakah. You can have a tzedakah if you give it back. The one who holds on the collateral. Minayin koyim mashkrin tzedakah minayin loy. I can't give tzedakah something I don't know. Mikan le'balachayv shekoyim mashkrin. You learn the balachayv is koyim mashkrin. So that's the machlokes. So what's the machlokes? As Rashi explains, the machlokes is it blows the late that Yechezkel ve'ino level l'shemechino. That'll be shu mashkin gaman, even though it's the right value. But I'm not. It's not mine. But when you have according to Rabbi Kiva, I own the mashkin. If I own the mashkin, so that's why if when you want to give it back to me, it's a new transaction. If you don't have if you don't have it, you can't give it back to me. So that's the machlokes over here. And regarding the just to mention. That according the Bryce added and says if you're doing bishtar, so then the mashkon is keneged avo. Why? So according to this first shot, the idea is zichron dvarim is only if I don't have a shtar. If I have a shtar, it doesn't go zichron dvarim. According to the second shot, it's going to be a little more complicated. You have to say something that if the idea of Rav Yitzchok, as we'll see right now in the question of the Gemara, but the idea of Rav Yitzchok is going to work only if there's no shtar. If there's a shtar, then the collateral does become yours, so it comes in exchange of the loan. Something more limited, Yitzchak Tanoi. According to this, it's going to be a machlokes Tanoi. If it is by Yemud Omar Yitzchak, Shemishko Shloshas Lavo, Mishko Shas Lavo Miyomar. Yitzchak did not speak when you give a collateral in the time of the loan, only when he gave it later. If it's not time of the loan, it comes later. Everybody agrees, like Yitzchak, that what? That the mashkoin is he acquires the mashkor, and if you lose the mashkor, you lose the loan. Of course, what happens in the time of the alvo? Compare this to Shemer Aveda. What's the thing Shemer Aveda? The Itmar Shemer Aveda. If you have someone who's going in Aveda, Rabba Omar Kishemichinom, Hezdim Shemichinom, Vesev Omar with Dafmedal Beis, Vesev Omar Kishem Mesoch. Done. So the machlokes is a person who's a Shemer Aveda is Shemechinum Shemer Mesoch. What's the machlokes depend on? So as we learned below Mitzvah, a reason is Shemer Mesoch because why is dealing with the Aveda is considered to be Oisik the Mitzvah, and he's patur min a Mitzvah of Tzedakah, so he gains the money of the Tzedakah. Ravo is a Shemechinum. So he's not considered to be gaining Tosis brings over here. Now that he's not doing a mitzvah, but that mitzvah is not pointed for giving tzedakah. So you made what machlokes over here is when a person is holding on to the mashkoin, he's doing that. So according to Rav Lazar, it's a shemichinam. He does a shvur that he wasn't preshah, and that's it. He's not responsible for it. According to Rav Yossi, he's a Shemer Mesoch, so he's responsible if he got lost. And then in lieu of that, you lose the value of the loan. Says the Gemara, Lema Rav Yossi Tanoi. So Rav Yossi is machlokes Tanoi. Rashi says, Rabba's for sure machlokes Tanoi. Kiva doesn't work with Rabba. Because Rabba said he's a Shemechinam. And according to Rabbi Kiva, he loses the loan. Says, well, Shemer Aveda Kul Amei Yisod Rav Yossi. Shemer Aveda really agrees with Shemer Mesoch. We're talking about a regular mashkar, but the lender is going to use the mashkar. How are you using? Rashi says he uses the mashkar and reduces the amount of the loan. This goes into Inyonim Vezu Neshech. When is this ribis? When is not ribis? Without going into these details, but in some way the lender is able to utilize the mashkar and he's benefiting from the mashkar. Therefore, what? Masov mitzvah ka'avid, masov la mitzvah ka'avid. So then is machlekes over here is considered to be doing a mitzvah or not. This is because a big yesodistic machlekes, lagabe asiyas mitzvahs. When a person does a mitzvah, and at the same time he has his own personal benefit, does he get the full reward of doing a mitzvah or not? That's the machlekes over here. Rabbi Elazar says yes, he's still considered to be that he is getting the full benefit. But according to Rabbi Akiva, you say no, because you benefit from you're not. You don't have a din anymore of a shir masachar. And even though you are doing a mitzvah as well, because you're getting your own benefit, you're enjoying the mashkoin, you don't have to be having a din of a shir masachar. And then if the mashkoin gets lost, you are responsible for it. Yeah. Sorry, I said it wrong. It's the opposite. According to Rabbi Akiva, he's a shir masachar. That's what he's. Why is he shir masachar? Because he's getting the benefit of the mitzvah. So according to Rabbi Akiva, someone who's doing a mitzvah, he has his own benefit, he's still considered to be getting the reward of the mitzvah. This is an interesting machlekes discussion. It's about that in the place. A person who deals with sfar tefillin and mezuzahs, he doesn't have to put on tefillin. So it's brought down in halacha. That's only if he doesn't get his own benefit from it. He's not doing it for his own money, but he's making profit in it. You don't have to do a mitzvah. Shaila is, does this work with our Gemara that someone's doing a mitzvah and he has a side benefit from it? Still considered to be doing a mitzvah, according to Rabbi Akiva, yes or no? The Biur Halacha speaks about it. I want to say maybe there's a difference between machshir mitzvah and not machshir mitzvah. A very interesting discussion on its own. Says the Gemara, Levi Ketanoi. According to another machlekes tonight, the what? Hamal is chaver lamashkoin menichas shmita. Someone lend his friend for a mashkoin, and shmita comes in. Avol b'shein shaveh lapalgo. Even though the loan is the collateral is worth only half. So we know that although in mashkoin there's no shmita, because shmita is not allowed to extract money. Here I'm not extracting money. Right here it's a ma'aval mashkoin. But here the mashkoin is not worth the loan. So if shmita it doesn't matter. It's still a misham the entire loan. If the collateral is connected the loan, then there's no shmita. If you allow mishamet, so the more understands that we start saying, "Ma'inu mishamet tekomet alakamo." Meaning, when Takama says not mishamet, it's only the value of the collateral. If the collateral is not worth the loan, it's not mishamet at all. The more understands at this stage, what do you mean? Why are you holding a mashkin? The mashkin is that shmita should not be mishamet. It's meaning you're already holding on to the loan. Something is working over here. The mashkin is worth the entire loan. With the shmul coming flicking, that's machlekes. When the mashkoin is, in other words, the mashkoin is not worth the loan. Whatever the mashkoin is worth, that is misham. Is not misham. But what about whatever is above the value of the mashkoin? That's the machlekes. Machlekes is, does that consider to be equivalent in lieu of the mashkoin? That's like Shmuel, even though the mashkoin is worth less, or not? That will be the machlekes. Says the Gemara, lo yilom kenegdo. In other words, talk about the mashkoin is not worth the loan, and whatever is above the mashkoin, everybody agrees it's mishamet. Whatever is keneged the mashkoin is the machlekes. So what's the machlekes? Tanakada sovar kenegdoi is not mishamet because you have a mashkoin. We don't know sovar keneged not mishamet is mishamet keneged the value of the mashkoin. So what is the mashkoin doing? There's a korim dvorim be'alma. It's only for zichron dvorim be'alma, as Rashi said at the beginning of the daf. That's one of the hard things with Rashi. Rashi brings at the beginning. Here the Gemara seems to say it only now. That there is a svar that even though I have a mashkoin, the mashkoin, this will be the svar according to ones against Shmuel. Meaning, the Gemara could say, everybody maybe disagrees with Shmuel. That a mashkoin, when you have a mashkoin less than the loan, so you're not considered to be the entire loan is collateralized. Because it's not, because the mashkoin is worth less. But even, so what's the machlekes? The machlekes is the loan collateralized connected the mashkoin or not? One other one says, yes, at least connected the mashkoin. Whatever the mashkoin is worth, then for that you have a collateral. The other one says, no, it's not considered to be collateral at all. Because if I'm not giving you collateral connected the loan, so what I'm giving it to you is only zichron v'rim be'alma. It's not really a collateral. And email does not work in at all, even the value of that mashkoin. Now here, just to mention, that Tosfos brings a question, le'el, we have a Gemara B'Metzia that brings a B'Yochanan regarding Shmito. There it's seemingly a B'Yochanan that says like Shmuel, if you have a mashkoin that's not connected the full loan, the entire loan is not mishamet and Shmita. That sounds like Shmuel. So if you pass like Rabbi Yochanan, you should pass like Shmuel. That's what they says. Now, according to say, according to Ramban, we mentioned at the beginning of the year, the Ramban holds as a din in Yichus Shomim, very possible that Rabbi Yochanan, Shmuel holds like a Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan doesn't hold like Shmuel. Why? It could be that the mashkin is in lieu of the entire loan. It's connected there. But now when you lose the mashkin, you lose the loan. It can be two separate things. I lose the mashkin, I'm responsible for it. I'm not responsible for the entire loan, even though the entire loan is collateralized. That could be a different way to learn Rabbi Yochanan at the bed of the Chagos Tosis and the Ramban, and which we'll leave it with that. And with this we end the 6th parak of Maseches Shavuos. Hadar Shavuos Dayanim, Hadar Shavuos Dayanim, Be'ezer Hashem.